Hello everyone, good afternoon. I hope that you can hear me. I gotta say it's a first experience for me to talk with people who have earplug and not using a mic. And it's also a first experience for me to be the last speaker of a 5-day conference. So trust me, I really appreciate your time and your energy for this last session of the day, at least for us. So we want to hop on in a 30 minutes journey this afternoon to talk about performance at scale for BI users. And I just want to start by a quick reference. You can actually literally see the data pool that Tableau set for us. I don't know if some of them have enjoyed it. It's pretty pleasant. The data pool is basically the starting point for everyone in this room. It is a raw data. It is a set of millions of data points that every day each of us have to play with. Now, the complexity, of course, of this data pool is to structure it and to turn it into a picture, a visualization, an insight. We also saw this week the announcement for recommendation, metrics, all these new capacities in Tableau to turn this data pool into valuable insights powered by AI and to start having recommendations. Now, of course, this data pool is most of the time not the scope that we'd like to work on. And what we're going to talk about today, is how with Kairos we can get you to, you can see obviously this picture is not finished, right? It's a picture, but it's not the big picture. And the big picture is really what we want to talk about, is how we can empower all of your users or each and every one of you to embrace the power of Tableau at the full scale and the full breadth of the data that relies in your environment with subsequent response time. So we're going to have today an exercise, and I'm going to invite in a few minutes one of my dear colleagues to play an exercise, a live exercise of connecting to a data set of 30 billion rows, on top of which we will play with Tableau on dashboarding and creating insights on the fly. All right, we're going to do this together. All right, I hope everyone's interested by this, right? And it will be live. All right, no safety nets, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so what's the gap, just as a short introduction, between this humongous amount of data that you all have in your environments and getting into Tableau? How do we fix the gap between this data that is on cloud or on-prem and bring it to Tableau? So with this complexity of getting to the data, the first solution that most of us are doing is we bring the data to Tableau, right? And we use the extracts to create proximity and immediate interactivity between your visualization layer and the data. Now, what's the first limitation is the volume of data that you're going to be able to play within extracts is going to be limited. It's going to be a couple of million rows at best. Now, Tableau has worked very hard to deliver further data management with Hyper, and we've seen all the big announcements about self-service data management this week with Tableau. Now, Hyper gets you further than extracts, but there is still a huge gap between the data that is made available to your visualization or recommendation and the full scope of data that is available in your environment. And that's really where we want to get you, that big picture, and where Kairos wants to take you, where extracts and Hyper and in-memory gets too limited. So we're going to get in a few minutes into this exercise with you. But before we do that, we want to share the journey of two important customers of Kairos who've been through these exact limitations and this exact struggle and this exact journey that we've all been familiar with. And I gotta say, none of this was so distant from the hundreds or so conversations we've had in the past 5 weeks, in the past 5 days, during this conference, with very, very different organization. But the first statement is in-memory limitation. Now, in-memory has been presented as a magical solution for immediate need for larger interactivity, larger level of interactivity with your data. So when Adobe, around 3 years ago, started to develop their analytics environment around Customer 360. Now, we're all familiar with Adobe, right? A very large technology company, worldwide leader on digital marketing and multimedia content. 20,000 employees, more than 200 customers, and the constant interaction of their customers with Adobe product is digital. Now, how do you track all the different type of interaction of your customers through the full scope of this data feeding into your environments on a daily basis, right? So you can see here, I'm not going to comment on every one of them, but the customer feedback, the post-purchase support, the renewal, every touch point you can have with your customer, how do you analyze this? For a lot of reasons. Avoiding churn, customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, proposing new product. And immediately, all of these different domains had their own analysts, and everyone was using Tableau. And the first step was for this analyst, like, I can't go to the full scope of my data, so I'm going to build my extracts. And then for a couple of top queries, Adobe built a massive in-memory platform with SAP HANA. Now, even with this multi-seven-figure investment on in-memory, the volume of data versus what was available and what was queried was very, very different. You had a lot of data that was still not processed through HANA, and of course not available in the extract. And of course, not to mention the very high cost of infrastructure for Adobe. Fast forward a couple of months later, Adobe evaluated Kairos and a couple of other vendors. You'll bear with me, I'm not going to quote the other vendors that they have evaluated us against. Feel free to reach out to Adobe if you want, or reach out to us for more details after that. What we've developed, again, in a matter of weeks, let's say maybe up to 2 months with Adobe, was really building a first cube for their customer insights that has been enriched, and it's been now a customer journey of around 2 years with Adobe, but in a matter of weeks, we've set it up and made it available for all the analysts serving all the departments that you can see here. A cube allowing you to query live, not through extract, not through in-memory, the interaction of 230 million customers, 2.6 trillion customer interactions, over a year of historical data versus a couple of weeks before that, with in-production stated response time under 5 seconds, and a general value of all purchase and post-purchase data stitched together into a single source of the truth. Now, this is one use case that we've heard a lot during this presentation and this conference. Another use case we wanted to share with you before we drill into the demonstration is it's not just about the customers, it's about the risk that you're exposed, and who better than the bank knows about the risk. Risk across all the different departments that a bank can have. Risk and compliance in this past 5-10 years have really emerged as one of the largest BI use cases across the industries. But the banks are really extremely invested at the CXO level on that topic. So Barclays originally built this massive data lake, and actually data lakes, plural, to host all the data they were collecting on a daily basis for the different departments and divisions where risk was structural: equities, securities, credit risk, currencies. And all of this has been deployed on a Cloudera on-prem environment. Cloudera is a big partner of Kairos. And they originally used Impala as a query engine to drill into this use case. So the Daily was presenting all the data for your use case. Impala was a query engine where all the queries were being processed. Now the big down was there is no semantic layer to be exposed to the Tableau users. So basically this gap that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago was really very, very present here. You had a very, very intuitive tool with Tableau, and then you had a very, very technical and infrastructure-driven environment. And the Cloudera Impala interface was to be exposed to Tableau was really not successful. Too technical, not business-driven, no semantic layer, and the performance were absolutely unacceptable, minutes and hours. Through the same process of evaluation, with a little bit longer journey, Barclays deployed a unified cube, one single cube for their entire risk reporting. This use case presented more than 500 billion transactions, around half a year of historical data versus 9 years previously, still under 5 seconds response time. So we're really talking here about stopping the compromise. And this compromise, I heard a lot about it from a lot of different customers and prospects in the past 5 days, is either I have volumes of data and then I accept that my queries will be slow, or I want my queries to be really fast and I'm going to have a very high level of aggregation, or I will compromise on the level of data and the volume of data that I want to play with. Now, of course, this is not magic, so we're going to drill into how this works. But historically, we built this connector for Tableau users, and for a couple of years, we've pushed it to the Tableau users. We're very happy to announce, and this has been announced 2 or 3 days ago. It kind of stole my thunder, but I just wanted to share. And you can confirm that with your Tableau representative or your Tableau success support, is that this is now available for you. In the Tableau product, you have a direct connector to the Kairos cube. Now, of course, we need to work together. We're going to talk about it in a minute, about how to build this cube and how to deploy this cube. But from a Tableau perspective, we're going to be a certified source for your Tableau in a matter of clicks. You can open the cube and start playing with what is not a data pool anymore, but a data ocean, structured, governed, secured, fast at the lightning speed, available for you. Shipped with Tableau 2019-4, the Kairos connector, you basically connect to your cube, immediately see the cube metadata with the items that you need to build your application, hierarchies, dimensions, attributes. And with single drag and drops, you can build your insights, this time not on weeks of data, not on a very limited volume of data, but on the entirety of your data you want to play with. And you're going to be able to see it without trusting me. I'm pretty sure you trust me. I'm pretty sure you have faith in me. But you're going to have even more faith in 10 minutes where you're going to see it yourself, right? So this connector is now available. If you don't have 2019-4 yet, we're happy to engage with you and provide you this connector. But this connector is now shipped in the product as soon as you move to 2019-4. And your Tableau team will also explain all the great other things that you will have in 2019-4, right? So basically, I'm going to invite Pruning to join me in a minute. But basically, we've been talking for a week about this data culture. And this is really what Kairos is about. How do you drive this data culture? By driving a real data democracy. And the data democracy is not about just all users. It's not about just all data. It's about all queries. You want to have a BI environment that supports your top queries, but also new types of queries you want to drill and you want to create every day. Ad hoc analysis, interactive analysis, all of this needs to be supported with the same level of infrastructure, performance, and coherence, right? So a unified semantic model across all of your different departments. And this notion of interactivity is absolutely key. roll up, drill down, the power of self-service through all the different type of interactivity you can have with your data. Once you've seen the demo, which Pruning is going to now demonstrate, challenge us. You know, we make a bold statement. You don't need trillions of rows, by the way, to have performance issues. I'm sure everyone here knows. You can have a couple millions of rows and still have performance issues. So don't think trillions, see trillion as we have use cases with trillions. You have millions of rows, you can have billions of rows. Challenge us. It takes a few hours of conversation and a few weeks of work to deliver what we're stating today, all right? So, Pruning,
all right.
Are you ready to go live?
Yes.
So, we have a cube that we've built. It's on an AWS cluster right now, all right? And we have basically 30 billion rows. So you'll have to bear with us. We don't have 30 trillion rows for this presentation. We'll be able to provide it the next Tableau conference. Today we have 30 billion rows live available for your application. So let's start by this manufacturing sales dashboard that we built for you. Pruning.
Okay. So this is a manufacturing data set which consists of around 30 billion factory line order items. Okay. This is a sales overview dashboard built on top of that. Oops. All right.
Maybe do a sound check.
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically a sales overview dashboard built on top of a manufacturing data set that consists of 30 billion factory line order items, and it's roughly around like 6 terabytes. Okay. As you can see on the Tableau dashboard, I have multiple figures showing what are my customer counts, retail values, profit by country and market segment, okay, and profit by season. So let's say I want to have, look into what were my furniture sales in China.
So you have the top 10 countries here.
Right.
And we want to see for the first one being China, all right?
Okay.
You go.
So I just clicked on like my furniture sales in China, and I want to see a breakdown by season as to what is going on during the holidays, what's going on during Christmas. I can get all of those insights right within interactive response times. Now, let me go back and let's.
So all this interactivity you see is live on 30 billion rows.
Yeah.
All right.
This was just on a couple of years of data. Let me make it like a 5-year analysis now.
How many years of data do we have, Pruning?
We have like 20 years worth of data, as you can see.
20 years of data.
On the drop down. So I'm gonna look at my trends going up across like the last 5 years. I can see the updates right here with interactive speeds. The total is like 30 billion rows, out of which I'm just doing on the 5 rows. I can go ahead and easily just make it like a 20-year analysis to see, okay, what I've been doing in the past 20 years, how's it affecting the numbers over here, what is my customer count across the 20 years, and just as easily I can go back again like for the history of all my data for the 20 years, what was the furniture count and the retail sales that happened in China again, right? So all this interactivity, the self-serving, the true self-serving analytics that a user is enabled with Kairos is what you can see over here.
Okay. So we just allowed you to go back 20 years ago in a couple of seconds, all right? Which is pretty cool. Now, we want to explain a little bit how this works, all right? And we'll have a Q&A in a few minutes right after the demo. So Pruning, let's show a little bit the behind the curtain, behind the scene, right? How does that work? How about we show Kairos?
Sure. So as you can see right here, we have the Kairos tool. It's easily accessible via the Google Chrome browser. And this is essentially one of the modules of the Kairos tool. This is what Emmanuel was referring to, that we provide the semantic layer, right? So once you've pointed Kairos to the data that is residing in your data lakes, after that, you design your own data model, right? So this is a star schema for the manufacturing data set that I have. It's connected to my customer information, supplier, parts, etc. And let's say I want to get deeper into the customer data itself. I want to get deeper insights into my customer data. All I do is a drag and drop over here. of my customer data, create a simple join key from my customer keys, and I've created a snowflake schema out of my star schema. So Kairos really doesn't restrict you. It allows you to do single file if you have a single denom table, if you have multiple facts, as he was referring to Adobe. So Adobe had like data points coming in from different sources. They had 11 fact tables stitched together on this canvas with different dimensions, and to get the entire customer journey view. Okay, so Kairos supports multi-fact schema as well as star schema and snowflake, you can see, right? Okay, so once you've designed this inside of Kairos, this becomes like the source to the actual cube. Okay, this is the cube module. Let me just click over here. Yeah, so the data schema, the semantic layer becomes like the source for the cube designer itself. And I'm just gonna click on expand to showcase the multiple dimensions that we have created, the hierarchies, the measure groups. We have like profit, calculated measures inside of the cube itself, like growth period over period. Okay, so this is essentially how you create the structure of the cube, which will then be like the data source for all the Tableau users. Okay.
So basically what we've done is we've taken 30 billion rows and we've turned it into a semantic layer powered by the query engines with Kairos, right? So the Tableau users will have this view and will start being able to play with Tableau.
Great. Okay.
So are we going to the drag and drop presentation?
Drag and drop, yeah.
All right. So we cheated a little bit, all right? We prepared this Tableau dashboard earlier on because we wanted to look cool to you guys, all right? But we all know that it starts with a blank page for everyone, right? So we want to go back a little bit, backtrack and say, well, how about we start from scratch, right? And we're going to start from the semantic layer and we're going to start playing live on these 30 billion rows and start dragging and dropping and showing you the performance on the blank page, right? Just to show you a little bit how this works. Pruning,
Sure.
You want to get in there?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm actually just in 2 steps, I'm going to showcase the Tableau Connector. Okay. So when you say add connections over here in the connections, you'll see the Kairos connector itself. It's a very simple process, and once you've connected, enable the Kairos connector, you just enter all your details about the Kairos server, and that's how you can easily connect. Wanted to stress on the fact that this is a live connection over here. As you can see, it's not an extract. So it is querying the cube as and when you actually issue the query from Tableau. Okay. And now, this is the structure. Once you connect to the Kairos cube, this is the structure that you can easily see that we have defined in the cube itself. So I'm just gonna have all of my countries represented on a map inside of Tableau. Now I want to see how my profit is distributed across the entire globe. Okay, and I want to see this as a breakdown with the market segment. So I'm just gonna drag and drop my market segment over here and make it a pie chart. Increase the size. And now I have like the profit distribution across all the countries on the map with with the breakdown of a market segment itself. And you've seen it's on the 30 billion rows, the interactive speeds with which you get the response back from Kairos on your Tableau screen. So you can play around, have all of this available to you, and have ad hoc querying enabled as fast as you can imagine.
So the exercise that follows is basically, we've been allowing Tableau Zen masters and Tableau developers all week on our booths on the blank page exercise, allowing you to work on our cube and start building. I must say I was very impressed. I don't know if you still have it, but I was very impressed with some of the visualizations that you guys came up with. I got to say I can't wait to share that with our product marketing and see how we can promote some of this. But besides the visualization, what is really very interesting is understand how we can create cubes for your use case and how we can empower you to start playing with the data at scale, right? So that's basically Kairos, and this is basically the use case and the live demos that we wanted to present with you. Well, thanks for your time. Have a wonderful weekend.